Hey, we're back. This time we're going to be taking a look at Monopoly Gamer, the Mario Kart edition. Monopoly Gamer is kind of a newer line from Hasbro where they're trying to bring cross-platform gamers between video games and board gaming. And it's an interesting concept. It shares a lot of the basic ideas of the board game Monopoly, which many people are familiar with. You either love it or hate it. And then it combines it with some more modern board game ideas, and in this case a Mario Kart theme, to bring it to a wider audience of people and introduce video gamers to board games. And it's a good gateway to get people who are familiar with classic games into new, more modern games, because they're already somewhat familiar with at least how the basic Monopoly works. Anyway, we're going to get right in and take a look at what's in here. So inside the box we have a pretty basic setup. Insert's actually a little bit bigger than it needed to be. I'm not sure why. I think they were trying to keep the size of the box similar to the old ones. But the longer box made me think of the normal folding in half board that came in the original Monopolies. They went with a quad folding board, so they didn't need this extra length on there. I'm not sure why. Right off the bat, one of my big complaints, and I hate that games are doing this now, is that they have these windows so you can see the figures underneath, which is great and all as long as you have the basic things, you put everything back the way it came. But once you start buying the extra characters, they no longer are going to fit in that little plastic insert, so you're probably going to chuck this whole piece that comes out. And now you have these holes in here. I usually end up cutting the plastic, the clear piece there, and taping it to the inside of the box on most of these to fill those holes in, but a lot of games do that. It drives me nuts. So first thing we have right here on top is the rulebook. It's actually kind of funny. It looks like something somebody printed off a home computer. I was expecting at least, you know, a printed and stapled book version, but this does the trick. I mean, it explains the rules. It just seems very cheap, especially for a company like Hasbro. Does a good job of going over the basics. Anybody who knows Monopoly is going to know that part of the game, though the Mario Kart additions to it are quite a bit different. If you're familiar with Monopoly Gamer in general, there's a few core differences between this and the normal Gamer edition. And they even have rules back here for a two-player game. And of course, there's the expansion boosters that are going to be coming out. I don't think they're out yet, but they have 6 new characters in them. It says they're semi-randomized. In the pictures, there's actually a window. I don't know if you can see it. So you can see the character in there. So I don't know if they're going to be blind or not. I'm assuming not because of the way the picture is, but that doesn't really mean anything. And we'll get to the characters when we get to the ones that are in here. And you can see each one of them's unique in their own way. So next we have our board here. As I said, it's a quad folding. They could have gone with a normal two-fold board. They would have made the box slightly larger, but the board is actually quite a bit smaller than the standard Monopoly board. They've removed a couple spaces on each of the straights to make it overall smaller. Makes the game go faster around 2. Like I think there's normally 2 here, then 3. They took the utilities off. Yeah, and there's normally 3 and 3 on that side, 3 and 2 on that side. So they've changed a few. I think there's like maybe 2 spaces less per side. And you have basic ones that you're going to recognize. So when you look at the board here, you can see some familiar stuff. The Go is where everybody starts. And then you've got properties here, which you buy. When you land on them, you can buy them for the amount that they're listed, just like in Monopoly, or they go to auction and everybody bids on them. There are no hotels or houses to build on them, but once you get a complete set, it doubles the amount of rent that people have to pay you when they land on those. We have the boost squares here, which just like in the Mario Kart game, they give you a boost of speed. You actually get to move again. The coin blocks here, when you land on them, you roll a die and you get a random number of coins just for landing on those. The star space allows you to use the special ability for the various character that you're playing. And all the properties as well are various tracks from the Mario Kart game. Let me get around to this side. We have in jail and just visiting. Works exactly like it did in the original Monopoly. And then you have a swamp here. When you land on him, you actually lose a little bit of your money. He knocks some coins out, and they land on there. Next person to drive through gets to pick them up. And we have free parking, which is another space from the original Monopoly, though everybody misplays that as having free money, and it's just basically a safe space to land. And then we keep going through, more properties. Go to jail. Another holdover from regular Monopoly. There's another thwomp, and then we're back to go. So it's a much smaller board, and makes the turns go faster. And one of the huge things that makes Monopoly Gamer so much better than regular Monopoly, in my opinion, is that there's a set time limit, basically, and we'll get to that in a minute. There's actually a deck of cards that goes right here. And as soon as somebody completes a lap and gets back to go, you're going to flip over the top card of that, and you're going to do an event. In this case, it's a race. In the Monopoly Gamer, the original one, it was a boss fight. And people can opt to join the race, and you get bonuses for depending on what you get. And that goes around, and I think there's 8 of those. So each time somebody passes go, another one of those goes into play. And it's a set timer. When those are gone, the game is over. So you don't have to worry about the game dragging on for hours. There's no player elimination. Lots of things they fixed in there. Next thing we have in here are coins instead of paper money like Monopoly is known for. We have coins, more fitting of the gamer tag. There's 5 coins, there's single coins, and these are what you're going to use to buy and sell properties, to pay for your rent when you land on other people's properties, and so on. Whenever you get hit by certain weapons, you're going to drop a handful of these on the track, and the next person through actually picks them up. Same goes for go to jail. It's actually a little bit different. I said before it was the same as regular Monopoly, but it's not. Yes, if you're in jail, you're going to roll the d6. If you get a 6, you get out. If not, you waste your turn. If you want, you can pay 5 gold and get yourself out, but you have to decide if you're going to pay before you roll. After 2 turns, if you're still stuck in there, you get out for free and continue on as normal. When you're in jail, you can't participate in any of the races that come up, which kind of suck. Then up here we have our banana tokens, which are a new thing added to this game. And banana peels are a big thing in Mario Kart. You drop them on the track and it spins people out. In this, you drop them on a square on the board and it forces people to stop on that square. So you can drop them on go to jail and be a jerk and send people to jail, or you can drop them on your high-end properties so that they have to stop there and they have to pay you, which is nice. There's lots of different uses for those. There's other weapons as well. But next thing we get into are the cards. And there's a bunch of cards that are very odd size. I haven't found a sleeve that fits them yet. I gotta do some checking on it. But the first stack we have here are those ones that match the spot in the center of the board, and these are our races. And they're actually numbered in the top corner. And those are the order they're going to come up in, so they actually should be the opposite of this, so you can draw them off the top. But usually just play with it face up. And so when somebody completes a lap and gets back to go, you're going to reveal the top one of these. And then here's the track name, or the race name. And then you can, each player can pay a gold to enter. Then everybody rolls, and the highest roll takes first, second highest takes second, and third, and so on. And if there's a tie, you have to roll again between the ties to break the tie. And then whoever wins the position does whatever the abilities are here. Whoever takes the gold gets to keep this card, which is worth extra points at the end. Some of these, like the first couple, have up to 3 people. Some of them only have 2 that can win, and so on. And the last one only has 1 winner. So if you cannot afford to enter, or if you're in jail, you cannot enter the race, so you don't get to roll. You have to pay the entrance fee in order to compete in the Grand Prix, though. Next we have a set of cheat sheet cards, and there's one for each player here. And tells you what you can do on your turn throughout the turn order. On the flip side, they have a list of all of the weapons that are available in the game and how they work. And nice little description to have in there to quick reference. I hope when they add the extra characters, they come with these cards too, because right now there's one per player. So we'll have to see how that works out. Next we have our properties. And just like Monopoly, they're color-coded in sets. And once you buy these, at the top here you have your rent. This is how much people are going to have to pay you when they land on your space. If you have a matching set of them, they have to pay you that amount. And this is how many points they're worth at the end of the game. And if at any point you run out of money or you need money to pay a fine for landing on something, you can flip these over and get the amount listed on the back. However, if they are face down like that, you don't get any benefits from actually owning that property until you pay this amount back to the bank to flip it back over. So they work pretty much exactly the same now. And then finally here we have our characters, which are interesting little models, nothing spectacular, but they're in these little cars from the game. And you get Mario, Luigi, Princess, and Toad to start with. And as I said, there's a bunch of extras that are coming. I think there's 5 new ones, plus a Chrome Mario. I'm not sure if he has a different ability or not, but we'll have to see on that one. And they're just neat little figures to represent who's who on the board. Now each one of those player models comes with a ability card, a character card, whatever you want to call it. And it lists what they can do. And each one of them has 2 special abilities on here. The first one pertains to if you land on those star spaces, it tells you what you can do. And like I said, they're all unique. And then the second one is when you roll a certain power-up, they each get bonuses to a specific power-up. Toad gets the lightning bolt, Mario gets coins, Princess has the blue shell, the spiky shell, and Luigi has the banana. So each one of them plays a little bit different, and I'm assuming all of the new ones will have their own unique abilities as well. That's just a really cool feature of the game, and I can't wait to see what kinds of abilities they give the new characters. And just for an example here, we'll look at Mario. If Mario lands on the star space, he gets 3 coins and then gets to roll the numbered die and move again. Follows the rules of whatever space he lands on. And then on the power-up die, if he rolls a 3 coins, he can collect the 3 coins or add up the 3 spaces to your roll. So depending on where you're going, it might be more beneficial to skip getting the money and do the movement instead. And like I said, each one of them is different and unique to the character. And then of course we have our dice. And you have a standard D6. This is used for your movement. And then this die, which some of the faces might not show up too well on the camera here, but this is your power-up die. Each turn you're going to roll 2 of these together. And you get your choice to activate the power-up, then move, or move and then activate the power-up, whichever you want. And we have our blue spiky shell, the lightning bolt, the green shell, the banana peel. That's the one that doesn't show up very well on camera. And then there's 2 coins on there. The coins just give you extra money. The different weapons are described on the card here. The blue shell allows you to choose any player to drop 3 coins. So it's a little bit different than the video game. The green goes to the next player in front of you, so as you go clockwise around the board. The star makes everyone drop a coin in the space they're on, and then you can drive around. Whoever drives into those spaces can pick those coins up. The banana peel allows you to place a banana peel on any of the spaces that you've been through, which forces someone to stop on that space. Except for, I think it's Luigi gets to place them on anything he owns as well, which is kind of cool. And then we already mentioned the coins, which give you 3 extra coins. So there's a look at everything. It's a pretty quick, easy to pick up game. Like I said, anybody who's familiar with Monopoly is going to know most of the basics. Anybody who's familiar with Mario Kart will catch on really quick. And anyone who's familiar with board gaming in general, it's going to be pretty simple for you. It's a nice, light introduction to more modern board games. The adding of the power-up die and the special abilities for the characters really adds a little bit to it. My biggest thing, as I mentioned earlier, I love the fact that it's a set time limit. When you get through these Grand Prix cards and they're all gone, the race is over. So you ever only do 8 laps around the board, and that really changes the way the game plays. And you don't have, there is no player elimination. If you get eliminated down to 0 money, it says you're already in a bad enough shape, there's no other penalty. So you don't get kicked out of the game like you do in regular Monopoly. So you don't get somebody eliminated and has to sit around and wait till the game's over, which is awesome. And the fact that it's a limited time frame, the game doesn't drag on for hours. I think the longest game we've played so far has only been an hour, so that's awesome too. I can't wait to get some more characters introduced and see what other cool special abilities they have. The one thing to keep in mind, though, is that when more characters do come out, the game is designed for 2 to 4 players, and you can get these extra 6 characters, well, 5 and another Mario, and in theory that would expand the game to 10 players, but then you're extending the game time considerably to start with. And the one thing to really keep in mind is you're going to run out of tokens and things like that. But some of the special abilities are designed to run in a 2 to 4 player environment, and they may be a little overpowered in a bigger game. That happened in the original Monopoly Gamer, and people found workarounds. The big thing in here is to basically limit the powers, I think, to affecting 3 people at max. That way, no matter how many players you're going, they're not too powerful. Haven't tried it myself. We haven't played with more than 4 yet to see, but we'll have to see how that works out. But overall, I like the game. I did like Monopoly back in the day. We played a ton of it. We actually had a big collector's edition set, and all of our friends used to play back in high school. And we would actually write down who won under the box, and we still have that box somewhere, and it's got all our games listed on it. It's kind of neat, but it was a very frustrating game for some people. Some people absolutely hated it. This is a much lighter, more fun version of the theme, and I don't think I'll ever go back to playing regular Monopoly again after playing Monopoly Gamer. And the Mario Kart edition, on top of that, even makes it a little bit more fun. This is by far my favorite incarnation of Monopoly, and the only thing it really has in common with Monopoly is the game board itself and the fact that you can buy the properties. Everything else seems to be completely different. I mean, you have to go to jail and that, but the gameplay itself is very, very different, and it seems to be a lot more fun. There is a regular Monopoly Gamer out there. I think there's a Super Mario Brothers one. I'm not sure if there's others. I think the Super Mario Brothers one's the only one right now. And it's very similar. There's a few differences. The boss battles instead of the Grand Prix, and I'm not sure what they do instead of the power-up die. I haven't actually played that one, but it has a lot of the same concepts and the coins and things. So they also have extra characters and booster packs to add to your game. So there's that kind of stuff to keep in mind too. So if you're not really into the Mario Kart theme, there is the Super Mario Brothers edition. Now granted, that's very similar still, but it doesn't involve the racing aspect. Overall though, I think it's a great game. I had a lot of fun with it. Doesn't matter who you're playing with. Young kids love it because the bright colors and the characters they can identify with. Older generations, like my generation, will love it because we grew up playing Mario Kart. I remember where that game came out. So there's a lot of nostalgia there, and it really does feel like it. Couple minor things. I wish they used a standard card format so you can sleeve these, because I see this becoming a collector's thing, and finding replacement cards and things is going to be rough in a few years. That might not be the case. Hasbro might print this thing forever for all I know, and it might not be an issue, but I would have liked to see standard size cards so they'd be easier to find sleeves for. The hole in the cover of the box I went over at the beginning of the video. I absolutely hate this design. Stop doing it, game designers. It's cool, we see the models, but there's pictures on the back of the box. We can see them there too. You don't need to make holes in the box, which make it completely useless later on. Like I said, one of the big things, this insert's kind of standard for this kind of game, but it's going to be completely useless once the extra characters come out. You're going to get rid of this just so you have the extra room here to put those extra characters that come out, and then you're going to have that giant hole over top of it where they can just fall out of the box. So we have to always rig something up to fix that, and it shouldn't be a problem, but minor things in the long run. overall, the game's solid. I love pretty much everything about it as far as the gameplay goes, and I'm really glad I managed to track down a copy and get one. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for our look at Monopoly Gamer, the Mario Kart edition. As always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.